In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
Have a good long weekend?
I did. It was nice to have 3 days in a row off. Also, Canada Day is my oldest nephew Jack's birthday, so he turned 9.
Oh, very nice. So a little gathering, I'm sure, for that.
Well, so we kind of all got together on the Thursday night with, both sets of grandparents, and we kind of had like a joint birthday party with him and I. We had a shared ice cream cake, but then he had some friends over on Canada Day, and then one of the boys slept over, and he had a sleepover, so he had a good time.
Well, we didn't do a whole lot this weekend, kind of low key, which was nice, right? Just had a few friends and family over here and there. But I did notice from some posts online that other people were gathering, which is awesome, but they weren't cleaning up. Someone posted about being in Kingston Park and finding garbage everywhere. So her and her daughter went and cleaned up a bunch of stuff. They were wearing gloves, and they even had those, things to pick stuff up.
Oh, yeah, like the little grabber things.
Right, because there were some things they didn't want to touch. And then further to that, someone said, well, did you go in one of the bathrooms there? Because they did, and apparently there were dirty diapers all over the place.
Oh.
I don't know if the garbage was full, and people were just like, well, I'm going to leave it on the counter. There's all kinds of garbage cans at Kingston Park.
Like every 20 feet, there's another garbage can.
Some of them are those huge, big ones, too. Just take it outside and put it in that. And then I saw a further post about a group of people that were out at Erie-O, and I guess when it started raining, the bit of rain that we had on Canada Day that came through, that all these people are out there partying, and so when they took off, they left everything. Piles, and they posted photos of garbage and bottles and cans. So she and her daughter and then a couple of other people went around with garbage bags, and they were cleaning up.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Just clean up. How hard is that to do?
Well, it's not. That's what they say to do with national parks. Anything you take in, you take out with you.
They used to run ads back when I was a kid about that because litter was so bad when I was a kid. They used to have to run ads. Don't throw your garbage out the window.
I still see people do it all the time, though.
Driving down the road, just toss it out the window.
Yeah, I'll be walking my dog because I live in the country. And I've shared photos of the amount of empties I've picked up, but also garbage, like full bags of McDonald's, with all the empty wrappers and containers, and they chuck it out. It's like you couldn't wait the 5 minutes to get to your destination to properly dispose of that. You had to throw it out the window, and now I got to walk past it and try to keep my dog from eating the wrapper. Although we chucked it in the ditch, with
the cost of gas, I don't know how much people are just driving around aimlessly and throwing ththings out the window. Although I will say this, it did come down a bit. But why are we paying 10 to 12 cents more than any other city in southwestern Ontario?
Yeah, you were telling me that Sarnia is a lot cheaper, because I know we're under $2 down here.
Yeah, $1.98. I think Sarnia was $1.85. I was checking on Gas Buddy this morning. Sarnia was about $1.85. Windsor about $1.87. London $1.87. We're $1.98. So it's not $2.08. So I'll take it. However,
yeah, but why is it still 10 cents more?
Yeah, the only bigger center out of and I used all those other ones as comparison. Everyone else is paying about 10 cents less than that. So why is Chatham?
I think it was even cheap. It's cheaper, I think, in Wallaceburg, too.
I think I saw that, too.
So why is it in Chatham itself?
Yeah, what's going on? Just don't yell at the people working at the gas stations.
That's not their fault. They're employees.
They don't set the price. Here comes today's good news.
And now it's time to put some good in your morning. The good news brought to you by Almar Home Improvements. 519-351-5666.
A 101-year-old woman just got back a valuable painting that the Nazis stole from her family in 1944.
Wow.
It's actually a portrait from 1683, and it's worth quite a lot. So she's now selling it and is going to give the money to her kids.
Amazing. And that's just one of thousands of things like that they stole. Hey, a local news anchor in Spokane, Washington, his name is Tim. He accumulated what he said was way too many neckties for work, about 250. So he recently started giving them away on social media to young people entering the workforce. They did a story on him on USA Today because it's inspired other people to do the same thing and go through their closets and get rid of those old ties.
Oh, that's amazing.
What a cool story.
Yeah, get rid of those ones that you don't necessarily wear anymore, and maybe someone else can use it. And finally, a student in Northern Ireland came up with a very cool idea that he calls memory boxes. So he visited 10 people that were in hospice and recorded them telling stories before they passed away. Then he would make a wooden box with the person's name on it, and inside it kind of looks like an old radio. And there's even a dial on it to change stations. Each station is a different story that they told.
feel like they need to have a listen to a loved one's voice again. It's just the comfort in knowing that something like that is there. Back in 2018, my terminally ill grandfather was living with us. He was the type that always has a story to tell, and one day I had the idea to sit down and record our conversation together. I then combined his voice with some sound effects, also some music that I composed, to create this kind of complete experience.
So he gave it to his mom, and he said as soon as he heard, saw her reaction to what he had put together, he knew he had to do it on a mass level. And,
yeah.
Wow, what a brilliant idea.
He realized other people would want this too, and I guess now he's going to make a whole business out of it.
How cool. Why didn't we think of that?
Yum. Science. It's not rocket science.
Check it out. I blinded us with science.
Well, there's a lot of things that Apple Watches still can't do, and the one thing is check blood pressure. But researchers in Texas just came up with something that can, an electronic tattoo.
It's kind of interesting. And while they call it a tattoo, it's not really a tattoo. It's an ultra-thin graphene that sticks to your wrist and can monitor your blood pressure 24/7.
And certainly a very important thing for anyone that's got any sort of heart issues.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's a giant sunspot that's several times bigger than the Earth pointed at us right now.
Uh-oh.
So scientists are hoping it doesn't shoot off a blast of radiation in the form of a solar flare, because it could mess with satellites, GPS, and even cause radio blackouts.
Oh, no. We don't want any of that.
No,
turn the other way. Turn around. In other space news, the Mars Perseverance rover spotted a round rock balancing on top of a boulder, almost like someone or something put it there.
Dun, dun, dun.
NASA says it's no big deal, though, and it's actually pretty common. Isn't that what they want us to think? The truth is out there, my friends.
Okay, X-Files. And finally, I think everyone can agree the right song can, really brighten your mood and bring you out of a dark day. But new research finds groovy music, yes, groovy music can enhance brain function. So apparently, dancing your Saturday nights away may actually sharpen your thinking skills. So scientists in Japan report that music with a groove can significantly increase measures of executive function and associated brain activity. But there is a catch. It has to be a tune you're familiar with.
Yeah, something you like and something you love, so you can groove to it. So it's hard to groove to newer music if you don't know it.
Excuse me while I go and put together a groove playlist right now to work to.
Ready to start grooving. Hey, we were talking about gas prices yesterday. Still $1.97.7, just checked here in Chatham proper, lower around us. And our question of the day today, country929.com, we posted yesterday. We were asking about whether or not the gas prices were affecting your summer travel plans. Well, when it comes to gas being, so high, there's a lot of vehicles that have that, little eco button on your car's dashboard. Does it make a difference?
Well, a professor at Ontario Tech University says that while some car makers claim eco mode can help you realize as much as 10 to 12% in fuel savings, he says most of us won't get saved that much, but it is still worth it. He says higher end luxury cars that are packed with more tech actually are more likely to reach that 12% in savings, but most vehicle owners, you'll only maybe save about 5% using eco mode.
Well, it's still better than zero when gas prices are hovering around $2 a liter.
And if you're wondering too, they say eco mode is most effective when you're cruising on the highway at a steady speed, traveling through the city under normal conditions, driving across flat terrain, and when you're not towing anything and you don't need maximum air conditioning. So on hot days with a trailer,
you're not
driving up and down hills, and you're going stop and start traffic, or the highway is all jammed up in a traffic jam, it's not going to work so well for you.
Yeah, you might be better off, hitching up the team and using some horses. We've got a couple of great examples of law and disorder. And this is his first story. When this guy thought out this plan, he thought this is going to work.
Yeah, because we've all heard about hackers getting job offers after they expose security flaws in someone's system. But that's really the only industry it happens in. But this 44-year-old down in Florida by the name of David didn't realize that. So he recently applied for a job as a security guard at Disney World. And he thought he could up his chances if he exposed weakness in their security protocols. So he decided to dress up as an employee, walked into one of their resorts, and then tried to steal a replica R2-D2 droid worth $10,000. But his plan didn't work, and if anything, it showed that their security is very robust and very secure. Someone saw him pushing a cart around and that he seemed suspicious, so they confronted him, and he claimed to work there. But they knew he was lying when he said his job was to move stuff around the park, but then he didn't know where anything was.
Yeah, you'd think you'd know the layout.
No. So then he tried to lead them to an employee locker room, went the wrong way, and then he was unable to even open the locker that was supposedly his. And when they asked him for his boss's name, he gave the name of a guy who works in California, not in Florida at Disney World.
And that's, I guess, when you figured the jig was up, I bet.
So then he admitted to them, I was trying to show weakness in your security system. Instead, now, I don't think he's going to get the job, and he's also charged with grand theft.
Well, how about this one? A police officer in Northeast Oklahoma tried to pull a guy over last week for not wearing a seatbelt. Simple thing. Well, the guy took off. Turned out he had a bunch of stolen stuff in his truck and was linked up to several burglaries, so that's probably why I didn't want to stop. The driver, a 23-year-old, floored it and got into a high-speed chase. Eventually ended, he crashed into something. But then the guy took off on foot. They didn't find him at first because he picked a very unlikely hiding spot. They ended up finding him hiding in a bunch of cow manure. According to police, he actually hid in the manure for several hours.
How was he not overcome with not just the scent, but like the fumes that can come from that?
Not to mention, wouldn't you be vomiting and they'd hear the vomiting noises? Well, they eventually did find him. He's facing multiple charges. He had a loaded gun in his car, too. So they tacked on another charge there, which is a felony.
Yeah.
And they had to hose him off, I'm sure.
And now, what do you do? Like, stand over there, because I'm not putting you in the back of the police.
You got to get a pickup and just throw him in the back of it, I guess. If you go to cknewstoday.ca, you can read a story that was posted a couple of days ago about how CK police are warning the public about another scam making the rounds. So it's a moving scam, catching unsuspecting victims off guard. So between May 13th and June 24th, there were multiple reports about people entering into a contract with a moving company based out of Toronto, agreeing for the cost of the move. The move begins. They want more money to be able to complete it. Apparently, this company was investigated by Toronto police and still is under multiple names.
So it's like they start moving your stuff and then they're holding all your belongings hostage until you give them more money than you agreed upon.
Yeah, it's wild. Read the full story at cknewstoday.ca. But then this comes out of just a town south of Guelph. It sounds like this is an alleged paving scam.
Yeah, so this woman by the name of Tammy said she came home to find strangers repaving without her driveway without her consent. And she said it was poorly done. And she couldn't even put anything on it or the driveway sinks down. So Tammy says it all started the day before when a guy by the name of Peter from a paving and masonry company came to her door. And he offered to repave the driveway at a discounted rate. But she said she declined the offer, but said he was very pushy and very manipulative. So the next morning is when she arrived home to find this crew working on her driveway. And since the work was already half done, he said, we'll take $500 off the $7,500 bill. But she's like, but I'm not paying this because I never agreed to this.
So she said the company promised to repair the driveway then at no cost. She hasn't been able to contact anyone. Now, media reached out to the company after speaking with her, and we're told it was, quote, a misunderstanding that they had a verbal agreement saying we don't just turn up and do this randomly. Well, OPP are taking this very seriously. They're also trying to speak with Peter.
So they posted his photo on social media in the hopes that someone would help identify him because they believe it could be a targeted fraud, and they're investigating it as a criminal matter because if convicted, it's a very unique form of fraud due to the amount of work that goes into it, how it can impact a home, and the price tag on it. And
the price tag's the big thing because it's not just like $1,000 or less. We're talking about $7,500 here.
Exactly. And apparently, Tammy says she's now been hearing from a number of people who said the exact same thing happened to them, and they almost felt pressured to pay for the work to be done, even though they had said that they were interested, but not right now. And then they show up like within a couple days and do the work without your knowledge.
We had a couple of windows done on our home. Now, granted, we had to wait about 8 months for the windows to finally come in. It wasn't just a verbal agreement, although we, had someone come over, we talked about it, verbally agreed. We had to sign an agreement.
Yeah, then they email you a contract, you sign it and send it back.
Verbal agreements can't be held in this case where they're saying, oh no, she agreed to it, so we came over. No, that sounds fishy, beyond fishy. So one more scam to watch out for. be careful with people coming to your door and offering to pave your driveway.
Because I'm just thinking about at my house, if someone showed up and offered to repave my driveway, I don't have $7,000 lying around. I'd be like, I'm sorry, that's not in the budget right now. And if they then showed up and did it and were trying to force me to pay, it's like, well, sorry, I didn't agree to this.
We'll knock $500 off. Can you knock $7,000 off? One more scam to be aware of. It is International Kissing Day today, so we celebrate a little smooch here and there. Well, they asked in a huge survey of about 10,000 people, think back on your first kiss. Was it good, bad, or a total disaster?
Only 12% said their first kiss was bad. 51% said it was good or very good. 21% said, just okay. 8% said somewhat bad, and 4% said very bad.
Yeah, things didn't work out for them. 11% said they just really can't remember. How old were you when you had your first kiss? The most common answer was probably around grade 6, 7-ish. At around 36%. High school next at 26%. 22% had their first kiss in elementary school.
Most of us think we're a good kisser. 74% said we're good, great, or amazing at kissing.
Yeah, same stats apply to driving.
Only 2% said that they're horrible.
And the number one thing that can make you a bad kisser? Having bad breath. Yeah, that'd do it. The rest of the top 5, too much tongue, allowing your teeth to be involved, not enough tongue, and kissing with your eyes open.
Okay, taking notes.
That'd be a little weird. All right, a song about kissing coming up in just a moment. If someone can find this woman, she might end up getting her own cooking show. There's an annual county fair called the Virginia-Kentucky District Fair. It's been around for over a century. And obviously, as a lot of fairs do, it includes a lot of baking and cooking contests.
And the internet is now trying to track down this woman by the name of Linda Skeens because she dominated the competition this year. A list of winners just went viral. And basically, it's just her name like over and over again. She won for best cake, pie, brownies, jelly, jam, applesauce, apple butter, pumpkin butter, sauerkraut, spaghetti sauce, and her strawberry fudge won for best overall baked good. She also placed first, second, and third in 3 baking categories: best cookies, best bread, and best candy. Oh, and for good measure, she also had a clean sweep in 3 embroidery categories, too.
Wow. So she became an internet legend overnight, and people were hoping to see what she looked like. Well, most were hoping to say it was somebody's 90-year-old grandma, but last we heard she hasn't come forward. And the fair was still struggling to find a picture. Sounds like she doesn't have really any social media presence.
Which makes me think that maybe she is a little bit older. But there was another woman in Virginia by the name of Linda Skeens. I actually had to post on Facebook, I am not the Linda you are looking for. Please stop sending me a request to come to your house and cook your Thanksgiving dinner.
There's a new term that's taking off. It's called Richplaining.
So this is when apparently wealthy people give wildly out-of-touch money advice to poorer people. Others have called it wealth-splaining or things Uncle Jeff says.
It kind of made us think about Arrested Development. There was a scene in that show.
I mean, it's 1 banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
You've never actually set foot in a supermarket, have you?
Well, some of the things that people brought up as examples of Richplaining online include poor people just need to swallow their pride and ask their parents for money.
That's the solution for everything. You have a scarcity mindset. You just have to think more positively.
Well, that'll do it. Just work harder and invest every dollar you have. Well, how about the fact that there's more month than there is dollars for many people, and you don't have enough to pay the rents or to buy food?
Buy food or pay all the bills, the utilities. I love this one. Instead of wasting all your money on rent, just live with your parents while you're going to college.
Sure.
That's just assuming that, 1, you can afford to go to college, and 2, that the program you want to take is available at the college in your hometown.
No one wants to work these days. No, maybe no one wants to work for jobs where they're being put through a grinder for minimum wage.
Yes. And because in some places, at least here, minimum wage has gone up to, be a little bit better, but still.
Long way to go.
There's still a long way to go to make it a livable wage. This is always my favorite one. You need to stop buying Starbucks and buy an avocado toast, and you'll be fine. Yeah, I'm sorry, but if I don't buy Starbucks every day, but a $5 latte a day does not add up to that much money. Not enough money for a down payment, that's for sure.
Well, it's also basically saying that people that, where things are stretched a bit, can't treat themselves every once in a while. You're still allowed to live.
If you like getting coffee every day, you keep doing it. If that's what you like, just cut back somewhere else then maybe.
Here's another one. Why don't you just get a better job? Why don't you do that? Instead of commuting, just find a better job, that's closer so you don't have to pay gas charges.
Mm-hmm. And finally, you manifest the reality around you, which is someone says is just a way to imply that one is at fault for your subpar life living, and that everyone even had an even chance all along.
Just manifest it. All right, so I'm going to do that. We are going to win Lotto Max. When I mean me or Cheryl or both are going to. Am I manifesting it? Is it working? Did we win yet? Well, here's something wild that I bet you a lot of us did not know. There's one day a year where, for a brief moment, 99% of people on Earth are technically in sunlight all at the same time, and that day is today.
So apparently every July 8th at 7:15 a.m., the sun doesn't rise until 6 this time of year, though, so you might be wondering, how is that even possible? Now, we're not saying the whole planet has sunlight, just places with people. And the word technically is key because some places aren't fully lit up like you're thinking. But at 7:15 a.m. this morning, 83% of populated areas are in full daylight. That includes Africa, Europe, and most of Asia. 7% are in twilight, where the sun is either setting or rising, but, there's some light in the air. And 6% are in nautical twilight, where it's basically dark.
So the remaining 3% are in astronomical twilight, where the sun is well below the horizon. So to the human eye, it's dark out. But there's still a tiny bit of indirect light that only matters if you're, maybe looking at stuff through a telescope.
And only 93% of us can actually see any light at that moment. But technically, just 1% are looking at a completely dark sky. Mainly people in Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea.
Because people forget sometimes how much of the planet is water. So they're just talking about where it's people.
Yeah. 99% of people on Earth are technically in the sunlight. And I guess to be in the sunlight, too, you technically have to be outside of your house.
It was a dramatic rescue earlier this week on the QEW, and it was all caught on video, too.
Happened near Mississauga. One of the 5 men who jumped in to save this guy from a burning vehicle said they got there literally in the nick of time before the car exploded in flames. So one of those men, his name is Ben. He says he and his wife were driving when they saw this vehicle that was on fire eventually crash into a ditch. So he saw someone with a car jack in their hand heading towards the vehicle and try to smash open the window because the door had been smashed in from hitting the guardrail, so they couldn't open the driver's side door. So they had to break the window to get the guy out. And so he was yelling at them to, go help. But then he's like, whatever, just pulled over, and he jumped out to lend a hand as well. OPP have now shared a video of the entire incident. They say the 36-year-old driver experienced a medical episode, and that's why he crashed, and then the car caught on fire. But thanks to these 5 men who jumped into action, he's going to be just fine because they saved him in the nick of time.
And the other big thing in this, too, is that they were trying to break the window. They were using the tire iron. Their fists, they were trying to kick it. It wasn't working, but someone in a dump truck threw out a hammer. And so they used that to smash the windows, and then we're able to get the guy out.
Yeah, they said within 30 seconds of pulling him out of the vehicle, it burst into flames. So glad that everything is going to be okay. And wow, talk about jumping in when you needed it the most.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.